back in the day, the NBA was a different beast. I'm talking about the bad boy Pistons. I'm talking about Pat Riley's New York Knicks. I'm talking about men who would clothesline you on your way to the basket and not even help you up. It was a league of giants, of gladiators who left it all on the floor, night after night. You didn't just drive to the hoop, you took your life into your hands knowing a forearm shiver was waiting for you. That was basketball. That was grit. That was what made the league legendary. But let's be honest, let's be very, very clear about something. That league is gone. Today, fans and former players alike are saying the league is getting soft. And I'm not just talking about a little bit soft, I'm talking Charmin Ultra Soft. I'm talking marshmallow in a microwave soft. It's become a league of finesse, a league of friendships, a league where a hard foul is treated like a federal offense. The physicality, the intensity, the sheer will to dominate your opponent seems to have evaporated. It's a tragedy, a travesty, and it's something we need to talk about. So today we're going to break it down. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty. We're going to examine the evidence piece by piece because somebody has to say it. Somebody has to have the guts to call it what it is. I'm here to tell you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Here are 10 reasons why people think the NBA just isn't as tough as it used to be, and believe you me, the evidence is damning. First of all, let's talk about the fouls. Back in my day, a hard foul was a strategic part of the game. It was a message. When a guy like Karl Malone or Charles Oakley put you on the floor, they were telling you, don't you dare come into this paint again. It was about establishing dominance, about setting a tone. You think Michael Jordan didn't have to fight through a gauntlet of physicality to get his points? He had to earn every single basket against brutal, punishing defense. That's what separated the men from the boys. That's what made championships mean something. Now you breathe on somebody wrong and it's a flagrant one, a flagrant two. You might as well get ejected and fined for playing defense with any kind of passion. Players are actively avoiding contact because they don't want to get teed up or give away free throws. The art of the hard, clean foul is dead. It's been replaced by a delicate dance where defenders have to tiptoe around offensive players. It's absolutely, positively, undeniably absurd. The league has legislated toughness right out of the game, and the product on the floor is suffering because of it. It's a disgrace. And don't even get me started on the technical fouls. My lord, the technical fouls. A player can't even show a little bit of emotion anymore without a referee getting trigger-happy with a whistle. You slam the ball in frustration? That's a tech. You yell, "and one," with a little too much bass in your voice? That's a tech. You look at a referee the wrong way after a bad call? Believe me, that's a tech. We're supposed to be watching the highest level of competition, a sport played by passionate athletes, but the league wants them to act like robots. It's an absolute joke. Rasheed Wallace would have a season's worth of technicals in a single week in today's NBA. These officials are more sensitive than a poet in a rainstorm. They're policing emotions instead of policing the game. This isn't about sportsmanship, it's about control. It's about sanitizing the product for a global audience, and in the process, they're stripping the very soul out of the competition. Players should be allowed to be passionate, they should be allowed to show they care. Penalizing human reaction is making the game soft, period. Now let's talk about something that makes my blood boil. Something that is an affront to the basketball gods themselves. I'm talking about flopping, theatrics, acting. Players throwing themselves to the ground like they've been shot by a sniper from the third deck. It's embarrassing. It's a blight on the game. Instead of playing through contact, instead of being strong with the basketball, you have grown men. Some of them 7 feet tall, flailing their arms and collapsing at the slightest touch, hoping to deceive the officials into making a call. It is pathetic. Where is the pride? Where is the integrity? Can you imagine Gary Payton or John Starks doing that? They'd be laughed out of the league by their own teammates. Today, it's not only accepted, it's coached, it's a skill. Players are more interested in drawing a foul than making a basket. They're looking for the call before they even start their move. This isn't basketball, it's performance art. And the league enables it by rewarding this disgraceful behavior. It sends a message that being tricky is better than being tough, and that is fundamentally, unequivocally, wrong. Alright, so let's move on to the psychological warfare of the game trash talk. Man, Larry Bird was a master of it. He'd walk into the opposing locker room and, just ask who was coming in second. Michael Jordan would whisper in your ear what he was about to do to you and then, he'd go out and do it. It was part of the game. It was about getting inside your opponent's head, about mental domination. It fueled rivalries. It created drama. It made the games personal and intense. It was a beautiful, beautiful thing. But now, the league has put a muzzle on its players. You can't say anything. A little bit of on-court banter, a little bit of chirping, and suddenly you're getting fined, you're getting a technical foul. The league is so concerned with its image that it has silenced the very voices that make the game compelling. They're treating these world-class competitors like children who can't handle a few verbal jabs. This oversensitivity has killed a vital part of the competitive spirit. It's another example of the league coddling its players and making the entire product softer and less interesting. It's a crying shame. This one is a big one. Seriously, this one fundamentally changed the game. I'm talking about the elimination of the hand check. For those of you who don't know, defenders used to be able to place a hand, a forearm, on the ball handler to control their movement, to impede their progress. It was the great equalizer. It meant that perimeter defense was a physical, grueling battle. You had to be strong, you had to be tough, and you had to be relentless to stay in front of your man. Ask anyone who had to guard Michael Jordan or Isaiah Thomas. But in 2004, the league banned it. They wanted to open up the game, to create more scoring, to make it more entertaining. And what was the result? They neutered perimeter defense. They gave offensive players a free pass to the basket. Now, defenders have to guard with their feet and their hips, shuffling around like they're in a dance class, terrified of making any contact. It's created a generation of scorers who would have been shut down in a previous era. It's made the game less about a one-on-one battle of wills and more about a free-flowing offensive showcase. It's softer, and it's a direct result of this rule change. Let's talk about the superstar treatment, the bubble wrap the league puts around its biggest names. There are two sets of rules in the NBA, one for the superstars and one for everybody else. It's as plain as day. A star player can travel, carry the ball, push off on a defender, and the referees will swallow their whistles. But if a role player does the exact same thing, tweet. It's an immediate call. It's an absolute disgrace, and it compromises the integrity of the competition. The league is protecting its assets. I get it from a business standpoint. But from a basketball standpoint, it's appalling. These stars get every benefit of the doubt. They get phantom foul calls if a defender so much as looks at them wrong. It makes it impossible to guard them aggressively because you know one false move and you'll be whistled for a foul. This isn't the 90s, where Michael Jordan had to fight for every single call he got. Today's stars are living in a protected paradise, and it makes them seem untouchable, not because they're tougher, but because the rulebook is on their side. Oh, and this one right here is a personal affront to every paying customer and every legend who played through pain. I'm talking about load management. Are you kidding me? Load management? They have a fancy term for sitting out when you're perfectly healthy. Players are taking nights off in the middle of the season to rest. Rest? You rest in the off-season. You rest when you retire. When you're getting paid millions of dollars, your job is to show up and play basketball for the fans who pay their hard-earned money to see you. Tell me, when did Michael Jordan ever take a night off for load management? He played 82 games 9 times in his career. Kobe Bryant? He would have played on one leg, and he did. These guys understood their responsibility to the game and to the fans. This new generation, they're being coddled. They're being told it's okay to skip a Tuesday night game in Sacramento because it's not on national TV. It's a slap in the face to the legends of the game, and it's the ultimate sign of a league that has gone soft. It is inexcusable. Remember the Celtics versus the Lakers? The Pistons versus the Bulls? The Knicks versus the Heat? Those were not just games, those were wars. Those teams genuinely disliked each other. There was bad blood. There was history. The animosity was real, and it made for the most compelling television in sports. The players weren't friends. They were adversaries, locked in a battle for supremacy. That hatred, that competitive fire is what elevated the sport to legendary status. Now what do we have? We have the AAU-ification of the NBA. Everybody's friends, they all grew up playing together, they work out together in the off-season, they're teaming up to form super teams. After a hard-fought game, they're all hugging and laughing at center court. Where is the edge? Where is the animosity? This buddy-buddy culture has completely defanged the rivalries that once defined the league. It's hard to get invested in a rivalry when the players themselves don't seem to care who wins or loses as long as their friends are doing well. It's made the entire league feel nice. And nice is the enemy of great. Let's talk about the style of play. The game today is all about one thing, the three-point shot. Everybody wants to be Steph Curry. Everybody is launching shots from 30 feet out. The analytics tell them it's the most efficient shot in basketball. And while it can be exciting, let's call it what it is. It's a softer way to play the game. It's a finesse game. It avoids the physicality, the grime, the war that takes place in the paint. It's basketball from a distance. The old game was built from the inside out. It was about big men dominating the low post. It was about guards who weren't afraid to drive into the lane and take the punishment that came with it. There was a toughness required to score near the basket that simply doesn't exist when you're living on the perimeter. The emphasis on the three-point shot has turned the game into a glorified shooting contest. It's less about physical dominance, and more about who can get hot from deep. It has fundamentally changed the DNA of the sport, making it less of a battle and more of a track meet. Finally, we have to talk about the modern world. We have to talk about social media. Every single play, every mistake, every missed shot is scrutinized, dissected, and turned into a meme within seconds. Players are under a microscope that legends of the past never had to deal with. A bad game doesn't just end when the buzzer sounds, it follows them onto their phones, onto their timelines for days. They face a constant barrage of criticism from millions of anonymous experts. And what is the effect of that? It makes them play cautiously, it makes them afraid to fail. They're so worried about ending up on Shakti a fool or being roasted on Twitter that they avoid taking risks. They play it safe. They defer in big moments to avoid being the scapegoat. This constant, relentless pressure from the outside world creates a more timid, more careful player. The fear of public ridicule is a powerful force, and it is contributing to a version of the game that is far more calculated and far less courageous than what we saw from the icons of the past. So there you have it. 10 reasons. From the lack of hard fouls and the death of trash talk to load management and the buddy-buddy culture, the evidence is overwhelming. The game played by our heroes, the game that was forged in the fires of intense physicality and rivalry, seems to be a distant memory. The league has prioritized offense, player safety, and a global, family-friendly image over the raw, unfiltered competition that many of us grew up loving. It's a different product, a different philosophy, and it has produced a different kind of player. But is that necessarily a bad thing? The players today are more skilled, more versatile, and more athletic than ever before. The global reach of the game is at an all-time high. Perhaps this evolution is simply the natural progression of the sport. Maybe protecting players from injury is a good thing. Maybe the emphasis on skill over brute force is a sign of a more advanced, more intelligent game. It's easy to be nostalgic for the past, to romanticize the good old days and dismiss the present as soft and inferior. The debate will rage on in barbershops, on sports talk shows, and in comment sections across the internet. There's no easy answer. The passion for the game from every generation is what truly matters. We can argue about eras, but we are all united by our love for basketball. Whether you agree or not, there's no denying the NBA has changed. But is it for better or worse? Let us know what you think in the comments.